Hello, everybody. Welcome to It Was Tuesday with your host, James Chen, aka Jay Chenzor. Not really a debate topic today to talk about. I just want to bring up something that's super cool, and I really want to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on here, because this is just a really neat project. I think that this is just such a noble project, and you know. I've talked about how graphics really matter for fighting games, and this is kind of a little bit proof on that discourse. So, maybe this is a little bit, kind of a topic to talk about over here. But what I want to talk about is that a person by the name of Wistful Hopes on Twitter, who goes by the name Rin, that's her name on the Twitter, began work. So what happened was, people were like, wait, why are we all modding MvC3? Can't we mod MvCI as well? Shouldn't that be easy to do? And then they figured out, yeah, it's Unreal Engine, so pretty easy to start going in there and start modding something. And so Rin just kind of started experimenting with it and started learning some fascinating things. And then she just decided to start making it look better. So we'll just go into this right away over here. This is one of the first things that she did. She started working on cell shaders. She just basically said, hey, guess what? MvCI cell shader, bitches! And here we go. As you can see, started actually trying to implement a little bit more cell shading into the game. Now, what's interesting is that she found out that there already was an existing cell shading shader in the game that wasn't very good, and then the finalized version of the game. So someone asked early on, before the stream started, did Capcom not have budget for cell shading? No, we're all pretty sure Marvel forced them away from it. And they probably, I think this has been verified, but I'm not 100% sure. But what happened was that Marvel was like, no, MCU, things need to be realistic looking. And so the game took this very gray shaded, dark, realistic undertone, as opposed to being the MvC3 look they had, where things were really brightly shaded and stuff. And, this really doomed the game. It really hurt the game a lot because the graphics weren't very good. Now, granted, I've heard both sides. The models that were found in the game, are actually not bad, but they're not great. Like, you can't excuse Dante face to lighting and colors and shading and stuff like that. You can't excuse original Chen face to lighting and shading and stuff, because they definitely fix those up a little bit. But lighting does a lot, and art style does a lot. And I've often tweeted about the fact that I hate that video games keep trying to go realistic instead of really cool art style. And this is going to be kind of something that proves that. Honestly, because as we advance through time, again, Wistful Hopes on Twitter, please follow her if you want to find more information about the MvCI project that she's working on, because it's fascinating to go through this. And I hope she doesn't mind that I'm kind of going through some of her tweets in chronological order, picking certain ones, because it just gets more and more fascinating, such as this was one of her first attempts at really getting a cell shader working. All right, basic cell shader complete. I can make stylistic adjustments and such, but the foundation is done. And you can already see, like, it's starting to look better. It's starting to look better. And you're like, okay. And then here we go, another one. This shot looks really cool with the cell shader, I think. And at some point in time, she also started to add these little hashes. Like, if you can't see it, there's like little hashes some of the shaders on the body. So even adding new textures. So Rin is not just changing the lighting, but also tweaking textures, changing faces, doing all sorts of things like that. And I think one of the tweets that I have in here is actually talking about that. But then, adjusted the outline width and added some cross-hatching. So there you go. You can actually see the cross-hatching on Ryu being a lot more defined over here. And then you can see a little bit of the in-game model here. But then what really starts getting interesting here Oh, and then she also did some background adjustments as well, turning the backgrounds even to be cell shaded, which already makes the game look a lot better than the realistic vibes that we had in the original MvCI over here. I mean, look at the Spider-Man and the Ryu against these like the game is already just looking amazing. Like this just looks really, really cool. But then this is the craziest part. This part I was not expecting. This was the plot twist that I was not expecting. Maximillian, dude, comes out of nowhere and says, happy to announce that I've recently commissioned Wistful Hopes and we're developing a new art style for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. We're in the early stages with only a couple days of tinkering, but already the results are incredible. Maximillian has decided to start paying Rin to work on this. Maximillian literally said, you know what? I want this. I'm paying you for it. And I mean, look at this. It's already looking so good. Dude, look how that looks. That's amazing. It's so good. And we're just getting started here. And so, yeah, Maximillian says, again, I can't compliment Wistful Hopes more on the hard work and talent on display. We're getting close to something that makes me really happy and hopefully many others who averted their eyes from MvCI originally. And yeah, I mean, again, like I've said, Guilty Gear Strive, Guilty Gear Exert, Dragon Ball Fighters, Grand Blue Versus. These games are never going to look old. When you decide to actually go for style over realism, the game's graphics are forever. DNF as well, yes. And so you can already see with this MvCI, because they are working so hard on the styling of this, like this graphic look can last forever. Again, if you look at MvC3's models, they're good models. They don't have a ton of polygons. They're not like the most detailed models ever, but the art style makes up for that. And even today, MvC3 doesn't look that old. MvC3 doesn't look that outdated. We don't look at MvC3 and go, wow, boy, that's a last generation game. Woo! You know, we don't do that, right? Well, sprite art is a completely different thing, Doria from downtown, who says Third Strike still wows me. Sprite art, I mean, Vampire Savior is still a beautiful game. Sprite art doesn't age, okay? Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. Good sprite work is great, is just absolutely flawless. But again, shout outs to Maximillian for helping with this project over here. And this even got an IGN article. Twitch streamer Maximillian Dude is teaming up with a fighting game modder for a project that will give Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite a cel-shaded art style, hopefully revitalizing it. It got to the point where IGN is talking about this. And man, like, you could see all these Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite players are like, oh my god, revival, oh my god, revival, oh my god, people are gonna play, oh my god. Like, MvCI fans are just like getting so excited. They're getting so hyped for this, and it's so cool to see. Because they're like, my god, are we gonna get a whole new slew of players? And a lot of people discounted MvCI because they were just like, this game is ugly, it's dumb, it's bad. And then it got meme inertia to death. But, you know, most people who have played MvCI will tell you, this game is really, really fun. Now, obviously, there are a lot of people out there who are like, oh my god, this game degenerates into, you know, activate super into infinite mix-ups. This kind of sucks, you know, kind of thing. But, you know, there's a lot of fans out there, a lot of people who really love this game. And you know what? If you never gave this game a chance before, why not give it a chance now when you can actually, like, stare at it and not get mad? Now to dodge a Marvel cease and desist. That's the scary part. That is the scary part about the more publicity, right? But the thing about it is, I mean, if they're not planning to make, I'd have to bring Ultra David on here to figure out how that part works. So, but you can see here now that the general shader idea is there. I've been working on making it pop a bit more. Here there's contrasting highlights on the brighter tones compared to the shadow tones. So now what you see Rin is actually doing is on the light side of things, Whereas originally, you can see it's, you can see a little bit of the blue here. You can see a little bit of the blue here like this, but early on, there wasn't any of that, right? There wasn't any of that. But now what you can actually see here is that that blue highlight, the lit parts over here are starting to become more defined, giving it a really, really, really nice look. Really nice look. And you'll see this a little bit more with some of the other characters out there. Oh, you're right. The UMVC3 mods are still out there, so for sure. But yeah, like, look at the difference between, like, this is what Rin says. The difference in, well, everything between when Max officially commissioned me and where I'm at now is insane. So this is where Ryu started when she was just doing this on her own. Max commissioned and said, hey, let's do this with the art style. And bam, this is what it looks like now, right? I mean, it's starting to, dude, it's coming together here. Really cool. And now we actually get
Crawler! Assault!
video of this example here.
Crawler! Assault! The hits keep on coming.
Good.
It's the resolution of the Twitter video that but you can get an idea of how nice it actually looks. You can get a decent idea of how well it looks in motion. So again, this is, and then Rin says, things are starting to move behind the scenes. I won't divulge details, but just know now that it's more than just me and Max now. So it's actually starting to become a team effort. And then adjustments to Venom since I woke up an hour ago. And this is a throwback to Venom from the cartoons where they made all the light outlines red. Yeah, like this. So like here, you can tell Max wanted the 90s cartoon highlight look for him. So there you go. That's what the old 90s cartoon looked like. And that's what they decided to do for Venom over here. And he just looks amazing this way, dude. It's such a cool style. It's such a neat look. Oh, man. And then I think this is, I completely changed how the colors of the shadows work. So now I have near full control of the colors. I mean, look at this, dude. Look at, oh, man. Like this looks like a next generation video game here. This looks really nice, honestly. And then Jeddah. So Rin's been working on Jeddah. And look how cool Jeddah looks now. Yo, dude, look at this. Oh, man. Dude, look at that. Look at that. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And then since people have been asking a lot of questions about MvCI Beyond, I'll answer a few questions here. Will be you doing AI character render changes? Will we see new characters? What about gameplay balance changes, etc.? She has a whole thread here, so make sure you go and check out her Twitter again, Wistful Hopes, that you can actually check out the answers to some of these questions. They don't plan to be doing any new characters. Will there be new music, SFX audio? If they can port in the original themes of the Marvel characters, like let's go, etc., etc. Yeah, and I mean, Jeddah's blood is already red here, so I'm assuming they're gonna try to make Jeddah's blood all red. So they're doing a lot of work here. You can read about that over here. And then this is one of the latest things that Rin posted up here, which was these screen caps without motion blur look great. This came out earlier today. But I mean, look at that, dude. Oops, look at this thing. Oh my God. Like, it's so good looking. Oh man. Dude, this looks amazing. So like I said, Wistful Hopes just posted this today. You can follow her on Twitter to see a lot of the things that are actually happening. Yeah, so there's Rin's Twitter over there. Again, Wistful Hopes that you can actually check out over here. But she's doing an amazing job. Shout out to Maximillian for doing this as well. But just kind of going with the idea that two philosophies, right? One, clearly graphics matter in fighting games, right? People have often said, "Oh, I don't care about graphics, whatever." Here's the hoping Hunter x Hunter starts to look better at some point, because as fun as that game might be, the graphics are going to kibosh that game, like happened to KOF 14 and what happened to MvCI. Clearly, graphics matter in fighting games and for popularity and for sustainability. And this might actually just be like one kind of cool little proof of that. And honestly, again, I don't blame Capcom, because like I said, Rin actually found an original cell shader style in the game that just wasn't used because reasons, and I'm pretty sure Marvel was the one that forced them to change it to more of a realistic style. So one, philosophy, you gotta make these games look good. Fighting games have to look good. They're not immune to graphics. Unfortunately, as much as we would all like to pretend that we're above graphics, graphics matter a lot, because when your game doesn't look particularly well, it's too easy to meme. It's harder for outside people to get into it, to appreciate it as much. So you gotta make sure your games look good. And we can even see that from City of the Wolves right now. Like, people are way more excited about City of the Wolves than they were for KOF 15, largely because of the way that the game looks. They're doing almost the exact same thing Rin is doing here, making that comic book style, and people are really excited about City of the Wolves, and they think the game looks really, really great, right? And so the second thing that I want to talk about, Peter 0611, jumping ahead of the gun, is that stop dealing with realistic graphics. We don't have to have realistic graphics. We just don't. Style is always going to be better. With all the power, and okay, this is going to be kind of really bad for me to say because I haven't seen the movie yet. But what I'm going to say is, with all the power that we are developing in video game graphics, in CGI animation, etc., and we spend all our time trying to replicate realism, what are you doing? Why? We live in realism. We see realism every day. Why do we want realism? If you have the power, use it. And again, I haven't seen the movie. I know people are going to yell at me, but a great movie that takes advantage of this that I know of is Across the Spider-Verse, right? They do so much more with the animation than just animating something to look real. They've done so much with it, and you can do the same thing with video games. Like, you make a game that looks like this, you make a game with that style, it makes such a difference. And like I said, it makes it so your game lives forever. Dragon Ball FighterZ is never not going to look amazing because it looks exactly like the cartoon. In fact, it looks so good that the actual cartoon used ArcSys' engine to animate some of the battle scenes in the Broly movie. Like, they literally asked ArcSys, can we use your engine to animate some of the fight scenes in the Broly movie that they came out with? It's actually crazy. And again, so it's never gonna get old. Style, always style. This is what makes games amazing. The ability to do stuff that you can't do in real life. Now, obviously, there's times when real life matters. If you're making Gran Turismo and you want to make your cars look as realistic as possible, or if you're making a sports game, you want to make it so that people can't tell the difference between the game and watching it on TV. That's completely understandable. I get that, because there is a reason. That is the art style. Realism is the art style of Gran Turismo and like NBA 2K games and stuff like that, or NFL 2K games and such. That's a decision to make. But if you are going to make a video game, don't make the graphics being realistic the default decision. Take the time. I haven't played the game yet, but shout out to Hi-Fi Rush. again, relevant in the conversation because their studio got shut down even after making the surprise hit Hi-Fi Rush that blew away expectations, and they got shuttered anyway. This industry is falling apart, man. And again, if you won't make more stylized, you don't have to worry about making super realistic graphics, which cost gazillion, fajillion, google-billion dollars. And you can actually make games that look good for less cost. Man. Games are in trouble, man. They are in trouble. And I didn't mean to turn this discussion into games are in trouble, but I don't think Rin would actually be that opposed to me turning it into this discussion here. But yeah, the gaming industry is in trouble right now because we are focusing too much on realism, bloated, bigger, amazing, AAA, blah, you know, it's a problem, honestly. Yeah, I mean, some people do prefer SF4 over SF5 and SF6, you know. I don't personally agree, but I totally get it. I just, SF4 has always just looked a little ugly to me. That's the problem. But I do like the style a lot more, for sure. I'm glad they had a style, let's just put it that way. It's more the models, I guess, that I have a problem with a little bit here, so... But yeah, the Western game industry, but Japan game industry has its own problems. That's a whole different story, whole different story. So, but in any case, didn't mean to delve into all this. Like I said, every time I try to talk about a topic shortly, it becomes like a 90-minute thing. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. Please check out Wistful Hopes on Twitter so you can actually see the amazing development and keep track of when this MvCI mod is coming out. I mean, look at this. It's not going to do you justice seeing this picture on my YouTube video. Go to their Twitter. Go to Rin's Twitter, please, and just take a look at this, dude. I mean, it just looks so good. And like I said, it's not just lighting and stuff, but she's actually changing the models. I made the mistake of thinking it was just lighting and everything, but she's putting a lot more work into it than that. But again, it looks absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Guts, for putting the Twitter in the chat. So there you go. Keep an eye on that. You know, we'll see what happens. Hopefully there will be no cease and desist. Hopefully this will be something that comes to fruition. And yeah, hopefully we'll actually be able to get to see what could have been. Maybe MvCI will get a whole second life with this, you know. It will be weird once people start trying to add their own characters and stuff. I personally haven't been a fan of that kind of thing, like what's happening with UMVC3, because now it's basically becoming Mugen, and there's like 900 characters added to the game by a whole bunch of different people, and they're all doing whatever they want with whatever philosophy they want. And it just is a big, giant chaos. It's just chaos at that point. So, we'll see what happens with this MvCI. But if they just make a new version of MvCI like this, I think it would be really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously it would be nice to add the X-Men in there, but only if we can get an actual battle director being the one to design the characters, because if you're just putting the characters in there yourself, you can make them as overpowered as you want. And if we had a real, actual battle director, I think that would be important, like to actually design the characters and put them in the game. So, but check that out. Yeah, I hope that's really cool for you. Hope you guys, see that and are excited about that as I am, and hyped to see the final product. So again, shout outs to Rin and Maximillian dude and their apparently new team that is working on this. So yeah, check that out. Thank you guys also for tuning in here and checking things out here. Hopefully I keep bringing you to cool new topics like this that you haven't seen and getting you interested in it. So keep an eye on this channel, subscribe, like, and leave a comment. If they were to add new characters to MvCI, who would you like to see in it? Okay, despite what I say, who would you like to see added to MvCI besides the X-Men? Let's take out Wolverine and Magneto because everybody's going to say them. But outside of Wolverine, Magneto, and other X-Men, who would you actually like to see like as a Capcom character and a Marvel character? All right, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys next time here on It Was Tuesday. And the day that this podcast graced your ears was the most important day of your life. But for me,
it was Tuesday.